Stream is connected. I'm going to click go live.
Sweet.
Where did you send this link?
And we are live.
We are live. Wonderful. Well, cool beans. So maybe I should say cool sweet things instead of beans. We are talking today. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get maybe we'll just take a minute here, Dave and or Simon, if you guys wouldn't mind sending that link out again one more time on the tweeters, and we'll share that out so that those of you who haven't joined us yet won't see this part if you're joining us live. But if you haven't not yet seen it yet in the future, when you watch this, it won't make as much sense because you'll be watching it and it will already have happened.
Well, I mean, it's already happened anyway. There's still some latency between live streaming and us talking.
Exactly. It's like, hey, do you have a picture of you when you're younger? And it's like, all pictures of me are when I was younger. It's like, you know, okay.
That is a very helpful thing to tell people.
It is. Before we get started, I should probably point out, because I did enjoy this dessert. It was wonderfully delicious, and Simon likes to hear especially about the things that
sure do.
So this is a truffula tree with we made some cotton candy in house. We made some chocolate trees. At the foot of the tree is a deconstructed apple cranberry crumble, and it's next to a mocha tiramisu that we made here in house. So for those of you that don't know, I have.
So when you say that's like a deconstructed apple crumble, isn't that just basically like we couldn't be bothered putting this on a plate? Like it feels like anything deconstructed is just like an excuse to be lazy.
So we have these conversations, but we actually for this we made there was like a cinnamon cookie crumble thing that we actually made as part of the dessert. We made up a orange cranberry with port liqueur kind of thing going on in there, and then we made up this incredible apple pie jam. And so putting those things together, it kind of reminds you of an apple crumble. Is it laziness? I don't know. It was 3 wonderful components.
Sounds complicated. I just like get a bowl and scoop some ice cream into it, and I'm done.
Right? That works too. It works too. Okay. So, onto the architectural things. So this site was actually born. It's a small side hobby kind of thing that accidentally ended up with 26 employees. So we've kind of grown. The idea was that my wife was going to take COD orders in advance so that she would have some idea of how much stuff to bake at the farmer's market. And that ended up parlaying into a brick and mortar store. It was a pop-up that was running once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times a week. And then after a year and a half, we landed a permanent space, built out a full commercial bake shop, and we're small batch local kind of things. So in that time, I've been doing less and less in the development community, but I've been devoting a lot of hours to building this thing out. Unfortunately, the original design was that this thing was going to be a lot smaller than it is. So we have some existing features that we're going to just kind of talk about and walk through a little bit here. And then we're going to talk about some of the challenges that have come up. And what I hope to expose here is that, on any project, really, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. There's going to be times when it just doesn't go in the architectural direction that is maybe best for long term. Sometimes you do things on the quick and dirty, and then those end up in production. I'm definitely guilty of that on this project. And because I was kind of doing it as my own, I'm guilty of taking not necessarily shortcuts, but maybe not following some best practices. We had a conversation about this in our Western Devs group, actually, because it was only about a month ago that I actually departed from right-click deploy to production from Visual Studio. So there's an automated build and deployment procedure now for the website. So
I remember earlier on giving you a hard time too because you went like a month without committing your changes too, right?
Yeah. I had 56 files that were not changed, or that were changed without a commit. And oh my gosh, you guys raked me over the coals. It was wonderful. The best part is those changes were actually live in prod and they were not committed to GitHub. So yeah, we'll talk about best practices on another. But I think I believe it was Kyle who said that the number of suboptimal systems that are out there that actually run successful companies is severely underestimated.
I think it's all of them.
Yeah, the number of companies that run on Excel too is mind-boggling.
So we had some really well-laid plans and some good intentions, and the business became something it was not originally envisioned as being. And as a result, we kind of ended up in this place where today, I'll just talk about, do you guys, I think we might as well walk through placing an order. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, do we get whatever it is that you're ordering? Yes,
next time you guys come into Brandon, it is on me. And she gave me full license to pay you in cookies and pie, so we are good. True story, Simon actually has a lifetime free pie card. It is in my safe in an envelope addressed to him. He just has to stop by and get it. That's all there is to it.
You would be in so much trouble if I was local. You would be out of business.
We've actually changed our plans to open a franchise in Calgary because of that reason. So
smart.
Okay, so to place an order, a customer would go to our site here. So I'll just pop in, and under the bake shop, they can do an advanced bake shop order. So I'll stick to this side for now, and there's nothing here because we don't have anything set up to order. So we'll go ahead and create something in the future here, Shangela Downtown. So I'll just click on Edit Menu. And then we can do a search for some strawberry shortcakes. We just have some features in here, like we might do a bread. So for example, our cinnamon swirl, and we say that it's the featured one and only subscribers are allowed to use it. And then we can put them in here. What this means is it's going to get a little bit of a banner up at the top, and then only our bread subscribers are allowed to access that product. So it'll display there, but it's just going to be a tease and saying you're not a bread subscriber. If you were, you'd be able to order this wonderful product. So it's a way that we kind of give a little bit of a perk to our bread subscription program. So, okay, so with that in place, I'll go back and I'll refresh, and it shows you. Now this is kind of the start of what we don't like in the system, but cosmetic things I'm not too worried about from an architecture perspective. Our product display is very big. We never used to have, we have over 180 products now that we do, and we have on a daily basis over 40 products that are Big Fresh. So this display is not optimal, and we still have to figure out what works best, but not all products are available on all days. So this gives us, this just shows me when it's possible to order something. I don't need to go too far into it. So I go into that, and we do have to do another step here as well. Go back to the dashboard. That was the 19th, I think. So January 19th. Oh, this does not look right. I'm on the wrong site. Shangela. Okay. We have the ability to put orders in before they are open to the public. So here you can see I've got an order in here. I just need to open it for orders, and then I can go in and we see that we've got some stuff here. So my cinnamon swirl bread is featured up there, and it says, hey, if you want that, you got to be a bread subscriber. It says here that the strawberry shortcakes are sold out. It says that the baguette, and that's because I didn't, I think I only put 4 in there. So there's not enough to place an order for 6 of them, but I can order a baguette parisienne. This is the second piece of the problem of how things kind of propagated and we ended up in a bad spot, was that you can notice there's no way to order multiples. We used to make so few of some products that we actually had to just limit and just say this is the only quantity you're allowed to buy, and it was kind of a way to curtail, because it's baked fresh, it's not frozen, it's not on hand. How do you restrict people from going in and buying too many? So they go in and hit, like, what's the right limit to put on that? So we just basically made, sets that we could define and then say you have to just buy that amount. So what that ended up doing is people figured out that they could create this order, say buy me some awesome, then hit back and say create order, buy me some awesome, and now they've just ordered the thing twice. So if they wanted 6 loaves of our feature bread, they figured out that they could just hit back, submit order, back, submit order, back, submit order. Now, the other thing is that originally there were only COD orders. So I'm going to go to my account and I will click into my orders. I'll see my upcoming orders. Oops, that's the subscription. View orders, that's where I want to go. We can see that I've got a couple of orders in here, and I can cancel those orders. I can confirm the COD order. I can go to renew and pay now. So again, the idea being that with the pre-orders at market, Angie wanted to be able to allow people to pre-order a few things and then set them aside, and we wanted to know for sure that they wanted them. We later introduced payments, and that spawned us the second type of orders that we ended up having in the system. So I can confirm this, and then I confirm that I will be there and pick it up. And then basically we're going to make it. If a customer doesn't confirm it, we don't make it. The other option is they can review and pay now. So this changes the order type. It allows them to pay with a saved credit card if they need to. It allows them to pay with gift cards. I have a gift card balance, so I can pay with a gift card first, and then it's going to take it away from one of my gift cards, the one with the most money on it, or the one with the least amount of money on it, actually, I correct myself. Or they can pay with a saved credit card, which we can save. I have this one ending, this Visa that I've got saved here, or I can use my own credit card and then pay online using Square. So that's the Square integration piece. It's just a Square payment form. It's an iframe. It sends out the script, or you request the script, you load it into this frame, you put the things here. It's secure. That way we don't have to store anything on our server. All of the credit card information is stored in Square. And so that's what the order.
You don't have to be PCI compliant then.
Yeah, exactly. We just basically don't store anything related to payment information in our system at all. And in fact, we don't even store a billing address in our system. So there's no connection to any payment stuff. So that was a decision we made pretty early. So that's what that looks like. And now that those are in there, I'll go back to my dashboard. We do have some cool stuff going on here, by the way. We're not going to go into it right now. Maybe we can do it on a future episode. But we have the ability for customers to check in curbside at the front of store, and this allows us to view the curbside notifications and start to prepare orders and interact with customers as they arrive. But I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and if I look at my upcoming event, I believe it's for the 19th of January. I can go to my sales summary, and then I can see these orders. And so this is the administrative view. I can see that this one is COD confirmed. I still have the option to cancel it. There's just some visual notifications on COD things and whatnot. I get a summary of my customers that are down here. One of the side effects of using a framework like Bootstrap is that over the years, when you're just using the latest from a CDN, unfortunately, some of your formatting breaks down. So pay no mind to that. It will be corrected at some point, but this is an internal piece. So then I can see the orders here. So let's just talk about some of this stuff here really quickly. So my existing order workflow supports COD and paid orders. This does cause some complexity because if our staff see this, they see one COD and one COD confirmed, or they might see one paid and one confirmed, and it looks like the same order, even though it has a different order ID. They might not be sure what their next step is to take. It actually requires that they contact the customer is probably the best course of action to figure out if this was an intentional thing or if they made an accident, if they multi-submitted and things like that. This is also because we restrict them to buying only what's available on that page and only in the quantity that we specify, it has led to a multiplicity of orders, which also causes confusion because sometimes you go in here and you see 6 loaves of bread ordered for the same customer and the order was placed, within 7 seconds of each other. Those are those master black belt customers that know how to go back submit. We get customers who drive in from out of town and they'll load up on sourdough and they'll store it in the freezer for their next trip. So, and then the other thing is we talked about the 2 order types right now. One of them gets committed as a COD order, one gets committed as a paid order. But we also have other order types, because when people wanted to start ordering cakes ahead of time online, we didn't have a natural landing place for all of the information we needed to collect the data for the cake. So I was like, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to create a new order type in the system, and it'll be able to support all the other order types and this new thing that we want to do with cakes. Pardon me. And then that worked fine, but I never went back and updated the other order types because I had to go back and change the order form and what we stored in the database and all those things. And it was just overwhelming, and it felt like it was an overwhelming amount of work to happen. And then customers wanted to start to order things like pizza or sandwiches, where you need to have modifiers and special requests and notify us of allergies. So that required a different type of order, but I built that one so that it would be able to encompass the cake order as well, and then I never went back to update the cake order.
It's a Russian doll of ordering systems.
It's a classic story of how technical debt accumulates.
Just wait, there's more. So then customers wanted to start to, we started a thing where we did pre-COVID, we were doing this thing that gained a lot of momentum, and it was birthday parties. And now birthday parties have guests that get invited. And so we need to be able to track those invites, and then those automatically generate invitations that get sent to Staples, where they're automatically printed, and the parent is notified. They go pick up the invitations, they hand them out to all the kids at school. They come here, we take care of everything from the kids, teaching the kids how to decorate cupcakes. They make their own pizzas and stuff like that. Well, you guessed it. There wasn't enough information capacity in the order types that I already had, so I created another order type. And I didn't migrate anything off of the existing order types. So that has... So
do you have like 4 different tables then? Orders?
There's more like 7 or 8 different tables.
Okay.
And that's because like details get stored off to the side. And I think there's probably some justification for that, like in subtypes and doing some mapping off to the side. Like you're never going to have invites for a loaf of sourdough, right? So there's some...
God damn right. I mean that whole loaf myself. I'm not inviting anybody.
Definitely not inviting Simon.
So I think there's, like you can configure inheritance and things like that to store some things off to the side. And I think I'll probably take that approach.
It almost sounds to me like order maybe would benefit from being like an object in and of itself. Like it might work nicely in a non-relational database.
Okay, non-relational, talk about that.
Well, like if it was something like Cosmos DB or MongoDB, you could just shove that whole object in there, because it doesn't seem like there are some properties on orders which are common and have actual like business processes around them, right? Like what is the price of an item? What is the number of those items that I'm selling? That sort of thing. But then there's a lot of stuff which is highly variable between different order types. Like the properties of a pizza order are so radically different from the properties of a cake order that they're pretty different. So I wonder if like from like a Mongo perspective, you would just shove that in the database, and then when you deserialized it back into your application, then you would make the decision about what type is this object, what sort of properties are needed for it.
Right.
And
so
then,
rendering is not where do I go to find my cakes. It's just get all the orders, which are all or get all the cakes, which are just orders anyways. Just get all of the orders for today, and don't go to 7 or 8 different places to get the orders. Go to one place, get the orders, and then just render it according to the type. So there's going to be properties stored at the base order level, like perhaps order type. So we can do filtering and things like that off of keys.
Because there's a lot of things that, like, although they're useful to make them human readable, because your staff need to know what name to put on the cake, and what color icing and so forth, you're not really going to make any business decisions based on that in most cases, right? Like, it doesn't matter to you if the person's name on the cake is Frank or Jane or Oscar.
Right.
So that sort of thing is just like a display only sort of property. And I think arguably maybe pizza toppings are like that too, up until a certain point where if you exceed 5 pizza toppings on your order, then we charge you for pizza toppings, that sort of a thing.
Right. So totals, payment status, like a TX ID or something like that. Those kinds of things are up. And I guess also order items could live up here, because, and maybe these have nested objects to define the order items in further detail as well. But when I go to make the payment over in Square, I need to give it, I create an order and I submit along with a list of order items, along with all of their tax information and whatnot. So we'll look at that in a minute. We'll look at what that looks like. Okay. But I think that would be like a top level thing, so that I don't have to go start navigating through a tree of nested objects in order to pull the detail out I need to make the payment. It could just simplify it and move the any of the common properties like name, price, applicable tax, and move that up to a quantity, move that up to the order item level, and then put the invitee's name for the invitation in a subject, like some nested thing.
Well, that's maybe like an option to use a sort of a strategy pattern now, where each order item has a method on it which can return the Square information.
Ooh, yeah.
So it would be like, I am a cake, and as one of the things that as a cake I know is my price and my description. And then when I'm called in that way, then I can pass that information back into Stray.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. I'm taking a really like object-oriented approach to this, which I always try and steer people away from. Any sort of like inheritance, I try and get away from, but I think really this can be just done with implementing interfaces. Like if an order item implements I Square or I invoice item.
Right, and it really could be like an I Square detail, because this is like one of the things I'm not trying to do is I'm not trying to say, oh, I want to make this so I can switch over to Shopify or whatever other payment system. This is a one-man team, and it's written largely after hours. So I want to do, like something that is a good implementation, but not something that I'm going to, try and swap out SQL Server for MySQL or something like that down the road, right? So I think an I Square detail is okay, and if I do intend to move to Shopify, I can do then I can maybe inherit from another interface and do those kinds of things. So yeah, that's a great idea.
You can always just rename the interface later too, and sometimes the names of your things are what makes sense at the time, and then as things progress, you just end up renaming them, and that's fine.
Yeah, like the number of classes that have order in their name in my project, for example. Lots of them there. Okay. So that's some great stuff to start working through already. Okay, so here are the existing artifacts workflows. I wasn't sure exactly. I took 5 minutes before we started this call to kind of walk through. So one of the things that happens is if I place an order and I don't confirm it as COD and I do not pay for it, then every night at 7 o'clock, Azure Functions kicks in and it does a check for all of the orders to be chased. and it sends an email out, and it just does it one time, so it doesn't chase them every day. It sends them an email out, and it says, hey, you've got an order that you didn't pay for. You can follow this link to manage your orders. And then that was that screen that I was at before. And I can see my upcoming orders, and then I can manage them from there. And then it says, if you don't do that, then we may cancel your order. Some of our regular customers know that doesn't really mean anything because we'll just leave it anyways, and we know they're going to be there. It's one of the nice things about living in a small town. Okay. When the order is created, and these are probably a little bit out of order, but oops, where did I go? When the order is created, it's committed immediately to SQL Server in one form or another. We may or may not chase them depending on when they pay for it. When they do pay it, we interact with Square. This allows it to show up in our sales system. So we use Square for point of sale in the front of house. We use it for managing group orders. We do invoicing for wholesale, and our online payments for our website are also through Square, so customers make that. We also record the payment in SQL Server, so these ones have to be done in kind of a unit of work. The email has to be, we send an email to the customer confirming their order, and we also, because we do this separately right now, we first create the order and we send them an email saying, hey, we created the order for you. And then at some point in the future, they're going to make a payment, and then they get another email saying, hey, you've paid this order. I kind of want to move away from that system because it does confuse people as well, because they get multiple emails. And when you walk through the website and you just go through and you click through and you pay, then you have these two different emails that say, here's your order, and then here's your payment for your order. And it is kind of confusing, so I can probably tighten that up. We get an email sent to the bake shop, and I kind of want to move away from that because at our busy season, during a busy season, for example, Valentine's Day is coming up, and we've got like a chocolate hazelnut heart-shaped cheesecake that we're doing. And
you just said cake. You didn't have to tell me how fabulous it is.
It's coated in chocolate with a hazelnut crackletine in it. It's really wonderful.
This is why I hate doing stuff with James.
So we get an email in the bake shop as well, but you could, on Pie Day last year, we did over 180 pies in 2 days. And when those orders came through, our email was just like, because we're getting copies of this as well as their payment, and then the notification to the bake shop. So I get 3 emails for every order completed. So we need to clean that up and make that more intelligent.
Yeah, that feels like a lot of management overhead there. That's stuff that you could just do with a dashboard, right?
Exactly.
The bake shop.
Yeah, and again, the catalyst for the original design, in as far as that goes, was that Angie was in school and I was working a full-time job elsewhere. So we just wanted, the 1 or 2 orders that trickle in a week or a day or whatever. We just wanted to be able to have visibility of it because we weren't on this thing, multiple days through the week. So.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense that if you're just 2 people, then email is fine for a process like this. But once you start expanding that out to 26 people, then you never know with email, like who's checked it, have they started this order, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And now we have a system that our front of house staff use that allows them to check active orders on a particular date. It builds a stock list for them. All I've ordered is 2 baguettes, but it would show all of the things, all of the subscription pickups, all of the cake pickups. But again, I'm going to multiple locations in order to pull this together, right? So
I like your font.
That is the font that we use for our logo for Shangela. So not that part of the font. I don't think there's a full logo on the site. What do you know? Anyways, okay. Okay, so that's kind of the things that are happening. When we chase an order, we chase nightly on COD, and there's some automated stuff through SendGrid that we do. We use email templates so that our emails look beautiful. We also do automated day of reminders, and then when we hit a certain point in the day, it might be 2 hours before close, it might be when we slow down after lunch, then our staff have the ability to go in and manage the order and send the person a text message as well, and that happens through Twilio. And it just says, hey, BakeBot here, reminding you of your order. We hope to see you. We close at 6, or whatever the case may be. So we have that. In terms of requirements, I tried to simplify this as much as possible, but in only putting these 3 things, I feel like I've got 70 hours of work ahead of me. So orders submitted, I would like this to be combined, and it sends an email to the customer with the payment information, and not send an email for COD for orders that haven't been, if the customer hasn't decided if it's COD or paid yet. I want to make all of the orders the same type. So this is a really good start, some work over here to do something like that. Or, I don't know, maybe should I just store JSON in SQL Server?
No.
I would typically say no, but I mean, for this, like, it's just a blob of data that has no, like, you're never going to run queries against it. You're never going to calculate anything based on it. I mean, it's sort of like,
you'd still need those base properties on an order table, and then
yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
Details.
But then, yeah, you can just have like a details blob that is in fact JSON, and that's fine. I mean, I have no problem with storing JSON in databases. I think in like relational databases, I think where you start getting a little bit crazy is when you start using like the special APIs that exist in SQL Server to run queries against the JSON that's embedded inside of your document.
Right.
And then I'm a little bit like, is this really the right solution? That being said, I know that that stuff is really nicely supported in Postgres, and that a lot of people run their entire application based on just storing JSON objects inside of Postgres. Interesting.
I think I would be like, per our earlier comments and Dave's suggestion, you would raise up those base properties that are needed. Like, I need to find the cake orders, right? Like,
yes.
That order type has to become a thing. It's not a thing right now in the database. So order type has to become a thing in order to support this multi-format model, and that needs to be stored up there. Pickup dates, all of those things that we're going to be querying on lots in order to drive the dashboard and help the bake shop gain intelligence over the week ahead. Those things need to be done as well, moved up as well. But then I am feeling like it might not be terrible to put these nested properties into the order items and orders as JSON documents.
Mm-hmm. Do you do any like inventory predictive work based on the orders that are coming in? So do you, like, obviously how much flour goes into a cake or a loaf or whatever?
Yes.
So is that information useful to surface so that you can say, like, in the next week we need to make sure that we have on hand X amount of flour?
Yes.
But I mean, you just bake a huge amount anyway, right? And people come into the store and buy it. If you were 100% online, I think that would make sense, but maybe not for this.
So yes, we use that intelligence. No, we don't use it from the orders. Angie uses the orders to build out her plan for her production plan for the week ahead. So she does that usually on Saturdays before she leaves. And that gives her that, we use that, and she says, okay, I'm going to do 7 heads of pastry. I'm going to do 45 cakes. I'm going to do 25 cheesecakes, et cetera, et cetera. And then that uses our product information with our ingredients to tell her how many pounds of flour, how many kilograms of flour she's going to use. So we go through, without having that there. So we're not using the order information right now. Would it be interesting down the road? I think actually, like, the disconnect that we have right now is that all of our sales used to be online, meaning that our order information was only stored in the website. And when we introduced the payment stuff, we split our sales information. And so our sales ended up in our Shea Angela database, but also now in Square. And when people started walking in and buying stuff, that never ends up in our online database. The goal of this, and part of the catalyst for the changing this, is to enable all orders and their details to be stored in Square so that we can get historical transactional information on a per product basis. That will enable us to say, because I already record everything on a regular basis. We record special events. So like when the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair is here, or the Provincial Exhibition, or AgX in the winter, or like any of these things that happen. There's food truck wars downtown. We have all these like different kinds of events that happen. They close down the avenue that we're on and they make it a walking terrace only. And all of those things we record. We record the temperature, and then we record the number of customers that we see every day. And the goal is down the road to try and use our historical sales information to generate some intelligence. But right now it's limited just to Angie and her wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we try and give her meaningful inputs. But
what was the SI unit you used there for pastry? Ahead of pastry?
Ahead of pastry, yes. Yes.
How
so
much
ahead
pastry is ahead of pastry?
That will give you up to 100 pastries. So we'll do we've done up to 14 of those a day. So that's the kind of production volume that we're capable of on the pastry side. Mm-hmm. And we have usually 2 or 3 people that are in charge of getting pastries through for the week. So they're in charge of pastries, danishes, pull-aparts, those kinds of things, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's unrelated to this, really. Just always interested in brand new SI units that I haven't heard of.
I could load you up with some. We'll talk about that another time. But that's awesome. Okay, so nice to have stuff. What I'd like to do is aggregate some of the notifications. So again, I don't need to see that an order is placed. Sometimes we get as many as 100 orders in a day through the online store. We don't need to know that 100 times a day. It's very distracting. It's disruptive. We really need to look at it maybe point in time, maybe every 12 hours. Maybe we get it at 10 in the morning and 6 at night or something, just to kind of give us a view of what happened overnight and through the day. And another nice to have, we've got this, our dashboard right now is really tailored to the experience for the front of house. And if I am able to build orders into a single kind of base object, it's going to make it easier to create multiple displays, multiple dashboards that help our cooks who are doing, prepared meals and sandwiches and pizzas, so they can see the orders up in front of them. And then our pastry chefs who are doing those, they need to see that there was, 28 lemon danishes ordered for a special order for a customer, or they've got this cake that they have to do, et cetera, et cetera. And then our bread team as well. They need to see what's on there for pre-orders. We have a donation matching program, so when people buy certain kinds of bread, it automatically triggers a donation that we give to our food bank. So we need to make sure that we're baking enough bread for that as well. And a lot of those things are done on the fly in the morning. And then at the end of the night, we do a bunch of math to figure out how much starter we need to do, how many kilograms of sourdough starter do we need in order to fulfill the bread for not tomorrow, but the day after that. So there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen. And right now, that's still, unfortunately, we have like worksheets and lots of hand-drawn things that are done in order for us to do some of that planning. So I'd really like to build some more intelligence into how we approach these things.
Mm-hmm.
So from a goal perspective, I want to centralize payments with the new Square API. We're going to see in a second, I have a lot of cases where I'm using property assignment. So there's lots of manual mapping that happens. And I've tried to be better at that more recently, but there's some older code sticking around in there that's kind of gross. And right now, payments are done at the time you push the button. So I wanted to have a conversation with you guys and your thoughts, because other things have to happen when I process a payment. It triggers an email. It might trigger a notification. For example, if we've got a kitchen display and a pizza is ordered, or 12 pizzas are ordered, I want the cooks to be able to see that right away.
So I might be off base with this, but when I saw even the existing artifacts and workflow, my immediate thought was durable functions.
I was just going to say that.
Okay. Maybe I'm not off base then.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, especially with the orchestration that you need to do in terms of buying and paying things.
Mm-hmm.
If this was if you were using like end service bus, I would say this is an ideal use for a Saga, but a durable function is basically the same thing. It's just a process manager.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I'm at least in a defensible position on this one because durable functions did not exist when I started the website. So, but yes, some kind of workflow engine is probably required with that because I don't want to send an email out. I need to send the email out, but I don't want to do it unless I've recorded the payment. And so that step-by-step thing. So durable functions is definitely a way to make that happen. So just kicking that off would just be sending a message to a queue to kick off the orchestration and then go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I have, other than watching the episodes that you've done on durable functions, Simon, I actually haven't had much exposure to them. So I might pick your brain on a couple of them, or maybe we can even do a couple of them live if we...
Yeah, we can do a little stand-up on that at some point.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then so those are kind of the things. So before I move forward and start looking at some of this code, what are your guys' thoughts overall? What are your tendencies to, where would you kind of lead before I start leading you down a path?
Well, I guess I would look at this and say, like, try and do some prioritization on it. See, like, what are the things in here that are going to improve people's lives in the bake shop or are going to make you more profitable. Those are the ones that I would tend to prioritize ahead of other things. But then you have to balance that a little bit too with this technical debt that you built yourself up. And orders feel like they are fragile, and any changes to that is probably going to have ripple effects throughout the rest of the application.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. Orders, and by the way, we're working on a new feature for orders because we need more. And I'm really excited to share that one, but I don't want to spill the beans on that one too early because I feel like it's going to be something that's game changing for our bake shop. But orders is something that needs some love because I don't want to keep building more order objects that don't do my thing.
Okay, well that's maybe a good place to start then, is to do that technical cleanup, because that's going to unblock a lot of things and let you go faster in future.
Yeah, that's a great point. Dave? I can't see Dave's camera feed right now, so I don't know if he's talking and muted or if he...
No, I'm just thinking.
Oh, he's just pondering.
Yeah, pondering. Yeah, there was somewhere I was going in my head, but that train of thought is gone now.
That's okay. If anybody is
ruined it for you.
That's good.
If anybody has joined us on the live stream and you've got questions or had comments or whatever, then feel free to ask, and we can definitely talk through that as well. I do know, like in terms of like you're saying, making life better or simpler or whatever. I know that doing. I would call probably what we've got with the chasing and the emails, I would call that some tech debt as well. So I think that would be the next step, is once the new orders are in place, to resolve the tech debt on messaging.
Right.
I mean, that feels like a really easy one. Like, couldn't you just go and not send the payment email?
Or not send the order created one?
Yeah.
And that's actually wired up with Mediator. So all I have to do is just not subscribe to that event, right? So that's pretty easy.
And delete the code.
Yeah.
Leave random not called events lying around.
That's a good point. Yeah. Cool. Okay. This aggregating notifications is something that if I take the order notifications away from the bake shop, I probably need to do this. It doesn't have to be done. Like, we do have ways of getting at this data through the dashboard.
It could just be a function that runs on schedule though too,
on
right?
a schedule, and basically does the same thing it's doing now because it already figures out all the order stuff. So just a small update on that. Yeah, I'll put.
So we did have a question from Ian who's watching. He said, you mentioned
Ian.
UI. Does that need to be upgraded as well as frameworks?
Like for the most part, the UI definitely when we go into this piece here where we do an advanced bake shop order, this form right here, this is going to need to be updated because right now, again, we're locking people into a predefined set. They should be able to do multiples on these.
In terms of frameworks, you did recently go through an effort to update this all to like a modern version of ASP.NET Core, right?
Yeah, we're on .NET 5. We're running it like the latest. Yeah, we're like right now it's like fully up to speed. The only degradation that I've seen is that we've got, like I said, when we go into the order review piece and things start to break down due to the fact that this was designed originally with Bootstrap 3 and multiple versions of Bootstrap 3 degraded the visual aesthetic of this, and then when I moved to Bootstrap 4, it kind of fell apart. So there are some things that need to be done that way. However, I would also argue that in terms of like the amount of work that's required on the UI is going to be pretty light. I'm already surfacing, product information and things like that, and I don't see that the kinds of information would change dramatically. And I'm not introducing in this any new functionality in terms of, that would require new buttons that are going to require calls to APIs and things like that. So I think there will be definitely some points where I need to do some UI work on existing UI. I'm more worried about the amount of work involved in the new UI, like the status for the cooks for orders that are in front of them and things like that. I think, there's places like McDonald's and Starbucks and chains that have put a lot of money and a lot of years into developing systems that give them intelligence into what's in the queue. And I don't have that experience with the digital side of things because all of our orders right now are done by paper. So it's going to be a matter of taking the paper chits that we get off of the printer at our cook station and making sure that same information is pushed over to our new dashboard and our new view of this. So yeah.
Just a bit of background on how that UI is built. If I remember correctly, you're doing a combination of server-side rendering with Razor, and then you're using Vue.js on the front end for any client-side behavior that you need. Is that right?
That is true. A lot of this stuff is just Razor. Whenever we need to augment the experience, I bring Vue in on a single-page basis. So it's probably got like 15 spas. It's probably got 15 single-page applications inside this Razor rendered application. So yeah.
It's like microservices for the front end.
It's exactly that. Okay, so
another question was any need for a mobile app for the bake shop?
I would love to do that. Is there a need for it? A lot of our customers are using, like, they place orders on their phone already. It's kind of crappy, the experience on the phone, but they manage to do it. I'm always surprised because they come in and they're like, hey, I was just looking at this thing that you've got on here. I'm like, that's what it looks like on your phone? Oh my gosh.
So maybe there's some work getting the website a little more responsive.
Yeah. Like we do some things that interact with the customers. Like our curbside pickup stuff is pretty fun because they just go to the page and then if they're logged in, it uses their user ID to create a separate channel for them, and then they subscribe to that channel, and then they, so if they leave the page and come back, they can see the status of their order as we're preparing it for them. That didn't require the use of a dedicated store deployed app. We have over 2,000 customers a month that come through our doors. I don't know if that warrants, an application.
I think, in my opinion anyway, like people don't want to install an app for their bake the bakery that they go to, right? It's better use case for just a web application that actually works well on a phone.
Yeah.
Maybe is there a need for a mobile application for people in the bake shop, though? I don't know what you would have there. Push notifications to my mobile device to tell me that I got to take things out of the oven.
Do you know, I did think one of the things that would be fun, like since we're off in Dreamer space anyways right now, I did think one of the things that would be fun is like when you go and you pre-order a cake, to have like video cameras in the, like have webcams in the bake shop and in the oven, because you can get oven rated cameras.
Really?
So that, yeah.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
So that when, like when you walk up to a station and you start working on an order, you just say, my name is James, I'm working on this cake. And then the person will get a notification with a picture of the workspace or the oven, or when it's on the decorating station, right? You go to the live feed of the cake being decorated. However, the staff aren't as open to that. Being on camera all the time.
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of the things that I'm looking at. I have this is my existing make payment method. So I'm creating, so you can see I'm doing this in line. I add it and I save it. So I've already made the payment, I believe. No, here's the Square payment. So I've made the payment and I save it in the database, and that is the attempt. I build my Square client, and then eventually I'll go and update the payment and then commit that back to the database. And that's inside of I want to say inside of a transaction. Did I get that far? I don't think so. So minimally, that should probably be wrapped up in a transaction, because I have a couple of updates there on the order and the payment. And you can see there's a lot of this, like I said, the property mapping that goes back and forth. So I can really clean up the code a lot just by doing that. And then this is the kind of thing that would move out into the orchestration. That's what you're suggesting, right, Dave?
Yeah.
So create the payment in Square first, for example, and then create the order, process the payment, send any notification, like update the database, send any notifications, so that if they do, like update the database first. So if they do get an email and they go to the website, that the order will be updated, its status will be updated, et cetera, et cetera. We had a little prod from some of our Western devs. They were asking who's going to leak secrets. I would like to say some early work we did with the monsters was on configuration options and secrets management, and as a result, this project actually doesn't have any secrets in it. In fact, I could share the entire code base, and it would be from the start. It's never had a secret key in it. So that's some of the stuff that we've got in there with the Square options. One of the things I like about working with Square is they have an idempotency key, which is passed along with the payment request. One of the things I don't like about Square is that if that fails, I actually haven't really figured out what their expectation is in terms of what to change in order to reattempt the payment. So there's a number of idempotency keys, and I feel like I have to change them all, but that's kind of here nor there. The point is, this saved my bacon at one point, because you guys, the two of you know, I did. Yeah. I actually woke up one night with a phone call to my cell from Square, asking why they had suspended my account because I was attempting to charge the same 30 customers a total of $8.2 million. And so I had to sort that out that night.
That's a lot of bread, James.
It would have been a lot of bread, although the bakery would have been completely paid for. So here we charge the card, and away we go. So this is also part of the symptom that I was talking about before, about having these different order types, because this is make payment on the original order type that it becomes a paid order type. So when I make those changes like that, now when you go to pay for a cake, I've got a different block of code that looks a lot like this to make the payment attempt. I do, when you go to place a birthday party, I have more code that looks like this, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that I did is I just started hacking out a payment service that is going to, and I've just been doing some, what do you call it when you're just, Spike. I've got some Spike code here that does a make payment and a create order. Right now, not passing any parameters. It is basically just trying to figure out what all of the things are required to send. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a quick second because I might actually have secrets in here in the Spike code.
So Ian had another question for you. He was asking what logging and monitoring do you have?
That is a great question. Hang on a quick second. I will come back and answer that. I do not have anything in here that is a secret. I do not have anything in here that's a secret. Okay, good. Look at me all protecting my secrets. Okay. The question again was, do I have...
What do you have for logging and monitoring? I assume
for
you're using App Insights and something.
Yes, I have to use... I'm in the process of implementing App Insights again because I moved to .NET 5 and they don't support that yet in Azure. So in App Services, the integrated App Insights that pulls the stuff out automatically, that's not yet supported. So I am making the effort right now to switch over to the SDK version of it and use the logging from there. So that is App Insights, and I've actually got that sprinkled throughout. When I was doing the big transition over, I tried to implement as much of that as I could for anything that I touched that I thought was important. So certainly anything in terms of like failure for messaging and payments and things like that, that was all taken care of already. Yeah, I'm using App Insights and I love it. It's got some great stuff in there. So this is kind of what's required now. I've got I'm basically going to have this service that when you get it, it comes with a client. This is pretty lightweight. This is just basically when you configure the environment and the access token, it just gives you a class that has the ability to make the API calls. It doesn't actually do anything. So this is really lightweight. So I'm going to get this Square payment service. And my thought is that any places where I'm currently processing a payment, I want to just call make payment, and there's going to be some kind of order that gets passed in, and it's going to, or an order ID that gets passed in. I haven't decided what my best thing to do there. Probably an order, because I'll have the order in front of me. If I was queuing it, I'd put an order ID in and then just load the order up when I went to make the payment. But because this is kind of in process, I think I can just pass the order in. So that needs to have some information. There's an amount, there's a tip. We have a billing address. Again, that's passed to the other side. This is something, this is one of those things where, because I don't want to store this right now, I am not storing it right now. I actually don't think I need to pass it though. Because I use the Square payment form, I actually get a token and I can complete an order. I can make a payment on an order without having to capture this information server side. Then we have this payment request builder, and I build this all up. I say this is what I want to do, and then I call build, and then I make a payment. Some of this is just copy pasta. This is my actual creating an order. Again, this is the piece that will be done through the JavaScript API, so I will not have to store the billing address. And I will not be creating the payment in line, actually, when I do that. So this is part of the thing that I want to pull up is this iPayment service and a Square payment service. And then one of the other things I wanted to show you guys that I was going to work on doing was, because right now that model only allows an order to be created that has line items on it. I need a new name, and I decided to, like, here's one of the glaring problems with our current model. If you go through and book a birthday party, you have to go right through from start to finish and then pay that, and you can't pay that at the same time as your birthday cake. So if you're ordering a cake for the party, you have to go through and order the cake separately, and then you go through and book the birthday party separately. And if you want to order 2 extra pizzas for mom and dad while they're here at the birthday party, you have to do a third order and go all the way through. There's no concept of building up different types of orders and paying for them all at once. By creating a shopping cart, you can do that. The other thing you can't do right now is you can't create orders on different dates and then pay them all at once. If you want to do 5 different orders over the next 5 weeks, you have to go through and complete 5 different orders. Mm-hmm. So I feel like having this cart kind of idea where the order is represented in the cart, and I don't know. This is actually this morning where I was working on it, and I was like, hey, I wonder if Dave and Simon would like to talk about how this might be implemented. So the cart is something that would sit on top of the order, or above the order, I guess.
So a cart feels to me like it's a thing that holds items that you've ordered, but an order is already a thing that holds items that you've ordered.
So maybe I just need to change the way that payments are done so that you can pay for all of the things, all of the orders that you currently have.
Well, I think maybe there's some confusion here between what is an order item and what is an order. So it seems like your birthday party, you have that as an order, whereas I would think of that more of as like an order item.
So going back to this design here.
So it's like, to me, the thing that has the variables on it that we want to put in the document store, like that's an order item, whereas an order just holds a bunch of order items.
Okay, so the example of a birthday party then, and then that same person orders a cake, and then they order 2 pizzas.
Right.
So the birthday, so this is just one order?
Yeah. And then the order items on it are, I would like a birthday party with the following properties. I would like a cake with the following properties. I would like 2 instances of the pizza order item, each one of which has the following properties.
Right, I see what you're saying. Okay, so these become the actual line items that are charged on the
Yes.
invoice. Yeah. Okay.
And it's possible that some of these might end up being more than one item. Like a birthday party feels like a pretty complicated object to me that might end up being multiple order items, because there could be like bits inside that birthday party that you'd want to fine tune.
Yeah. So there is, for example, there's a base party fee. There is the invitations. Mm-hmm. There are the decorating options. So you can choose to decorate sugar cookies or cupcakes. And then there's the pizza. Like, is it going to be like, you can either do cheese pizzas or you can do pizza with multiple toppings, and we prepare a bunch of toppings. So
right. So then
all
to
of
me, maybe like the act of adding a birthday party is actually going to add 4 or more order items to your order. And then perhaps you have some sort of a group ID so that you can just go and say, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm going to delete the whole birthday party.
Okay, so that's like a group, like an item group?
Yeah. And then I think if you had an item group concept, then I think you could use that also for, I'd like to order 6 loaves of bread and have 2 this week, 2 next week, and 2 the week after. So the item group could contain delivery dates.
Even if it's just a group of one item?
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely possible to have trivial groups like that.
Yeah. Okay. And now my order is just going to be really... Well, it can still aggregate up all of the... Oh, then the order type would be on the item group as well.
Probably not. That would be on... Well, I think it would probably just be on the order item. Because you don't really care about what type the group is, like what things it contains.
Okay.
You just want to know, like, hey, if I delete a birthday party, then, like, if I go and delete the invitations, that implies that I need to delete the entire item group.
So, okay, so the order item would have, like, the... Oh, wait. Order type. I almost wonder, though...
Right. So this would be, I think, less of an order type and more of an item type.
Sure. I feel like the order type belongs at the item group level almost, or a group type. Like, how do I pull my cakes out? That's where I'm going with this. How do I show all my birthday parties next week? What am I going to query against to get all my birthday parties?
Yes, that is not something that the model would support right now.
So that's where I ended up with the cart order idea.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that it's the right one or the right naming, and not that I necessarily need the cart order items, because those could just be... A cart just has the multiple orders. The order, it can be...
Well, yeah, a cart has probably multiple item groups. So I think what I'm getting at is that I think a cart and an order are the same concept.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and Ian mentioned this in the comments too, like a cart is usually the list of things that you intend to order, and when you go to complete the order, that's when it gets converted from a cart to an order. I think that's usually the pattern you see in like a retail system.
Yeah, like if I'm going to order something from Amazon and they all have different delivery dates, that's fine, right? Like I'm going to get this book in 8 days, or 2 days. I'm going to get this scale in 5 days, and it's not tied to the order. That's part of the fulfillment. Actually, that's part of the. That's actually a different set of information, right? So the delivery date is part of the fulfillment. It's how it's delivered. This might be delivery date. Is it pickup delivery, like the fulfillment type, etc. So that might be there. I'm still not sure I have a clear picture of how that would be organized though. So the order is somebody has paid for the cart. Would you guys do it that way? Like if I can reinvent our nomenclature here. So what do you guys think?
I mean, my concern is that we have been burned, you and I, in the past on a project that had, many fatal flaws, but one of the fatal flaws that it had was that you would create like a whole big object in a funnel, and then you would do this massive transition and you would turn that into like in this case, a loan request. So I'm always hesitant to see, like, we're going to create a cart and then we're going to transform this cart into an order. Like, it feels like order and cart are the same thing. Yeah, it's just a flag. Like, it's complete, has been paid for.
So there's like a workflow status or workflow step on the order. I wonder about if this stuff though, like if having these as separate order items, as long as they can be put into a group, as long as this item group has a group type, like, because that could be, like group type could be kitchen, bake shop.
It could be. My concern with like that group type is like in this specific example that you have here, the birthday party, the cake, the 2 pizzas, now those are going to be in at least two different item groups, right? Because you've got the birthday party and then you've got the cake and 2 pizzas.
Mm-hmm. Pizza's kitchen, cake, bake shop, event is the birthday party. Yeah. Right.
And so if you want to couple those together, which most people are going to want to do, like I want these all at the same date, then you're kind of duplicating that data across these things. So yeah, it's tricky to see this.
See, a cake has properties on it like, like for example, our cakes. Let me see if I can do a cake order here. Well, no, I don't need to do it necessarily, but there's your, there are things that you can charge for. We have our signature cake bases, which are, chocolate, vanilla, birthday cake. We do angel food, and if you want to upgrade to like a sponge cake, then there's a little bit of a charge for that. So then there's upgrades. There are customizations. So you might get a chocolate plate created with your happy birthday darling on it, and then that's a customization on something that you can do. So yeah, there's a few things to do there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on pizzas, yeah, like you order the O Canada pizza, but then you actually want to add additional toppings because you want mushrooms on it. Oh, well, that has mushrooms, but peppers.
Correct.
So I wonder if maybe what we need to do as a follow-up to today's stream is more of a deep dive on the modeling here around the domain of orders and order types.
Yeah. I'm wondering if maybe we're spending a lot of time doing data modeling here. Maybe we would do better to do like an event storming session on this.
I think that'd be a lot of fun and useful.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if maybe we might get a guest to help us through that. We know somebody who likes event storming.
Yeah, we should try to set that up.
Okay,
that's great. Okay, well, conversation so far has been awesome. Thanks for taking a peek with me here into some of our goals and challenges, guys. I definitely appreciate your time. While we were doing that, the lovely folks in the bake shop actually stopped by with a little trial of a new product.
James.
So it's a s'mores dessert square. They just gave me a little corner of it. It's really gooey, so I don't want to eat it on air because, you can smell the toasted marshmallow. We make our own marshmallow. And then there's
what? You can make marshmallow?
Of course you can. Yes, you can make marshmallow.
Oh, so I just thought it was extruded from some animal.
And then there's chocolate ganache, and it's wonderful things here. So I've already got it all over my fingers. It's just horrible. I apologize. Anyways, so I've got things to do here that I have to take care of. Simon doesn't like me talking about them, so I won't bring
them
now.
Now I'm gonna have to go and read up on how to make marshmallows.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thanks for the questions. For those of you who are able to join in, that's awesome. We love the interaction. If you're watching this after the live stream, then go ahead and ask questions in the base there, and we'll take it up, and we'll reconvene at a later date for some more modeling goodness. And as always, Simon, that's the part when you remind them to comment.
I forgot.
We'll try it again. And as always, Simon,
remember to comment and share, and we'll see everybody. Well, I was going to say on next week's episode, but these live streams are just sort of whenever we have an hour to kill.
Where we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.